Hello, and welcome back to MoJo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the one and only Powerpuff Girls / JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
This week, we continue our discussion of the second half of JoJo's Stardust Crusaders. We are going to be talking about the episodes Khnum's Zenyatta and Thoth's Mondatta and Anubis Part 1. But before we get into the episode discussion, just a reminder to hit the follow/subscribe buttons and leave us a comment and or a review if you haven't already. It would help us get out there to more folks if we got more reviews, and we might even read your review on the show.
And if you would like to catch us somewhere else, we have another podcast called What We Pod in the Shadows, where we're currently discussing season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows, which is a comedy about vampires living in Staten Island.
You might enjoy that if you want to hear about some vampires that are quite a bit less evil than Dio.
Do you have any news?
I think I've heard that, I believe, later this month on the 25th, they're supposed to have the, release date for the animated adaptation of Part 7. I'm not sure if they've, released the cast. We don't know what any opening or ending theme songs are, but it'll be nice to know when I can actually watch it.
Well, fine.
So the first episode is Khnum's Zenyatta and Thoth's Mondatta. And of course, Zenyatta and Mondatta are the two brothers from the end of the last episode. The younger brother having the comic book stand that lets him see in the future. So Zenyatta is the older brother, Mondatta is the younger brother. And they consult Mondatta's comic book stand Thoth to see what's in store for them next. Polnareff, Joseph, and Jotaro are supposed to be nearby at a cafe after dropping off Avdol and Kakyoin to get medical treatment, and Thoth predicts that the brothers will take them out by poisoning them. Zenyatta says that with his stand, Khnum, which allows him to change his face, and Mondatta's Thoth, that they will be invincible and also the bestest brothers ever. So I felt like the gods went along better with what their stands did than Geb being a water stand, even though he's an earth god. Because Khnum is a creation god, and Thoth is the god of knowledge. So, it goes a little better with, shape-shifting and being able to predict the future. Zenyatta knocks out or possibly kills the cafe's owner and drags him off as they wait for the Joestar group to arrive. Polnareff, Jotaro, and Joseph discuss Avdol and Kakyoin's health. Avdol should be good as new tomorrow, but Kakyoin might go blind, and they may need to leave him behind. Polnareff wants to find a cafe, but there are a bunch nearby, so he uses the cigarette that he was smoking to pick one for them by dropping it on the ground, and then they pick the cafe that the lit end points at, basically. So then they go to the cafe that Zenyatta and Mondatta are at. Polnareff orders tea, but Joseph says that because they're in enemy territory, they should only drink from sealed cans or bottles to avoid being poisoned. And so he just wants some cola, and I just thought it was funny the way that Zenyatta after that was like, cola! The little liver in the face of me, that's funny. And it turns out that the fridge is unplugged. So the sodas are warm, and they think about going to another cafe instead, but the nearest one is on fire because of the cigarette Polnareff dropped in the road. Polnareff is oblivious to the fact that he caused the fire. So they do decide to get tea anyways, which Zenyatta and Mondatta have poisoned, but Iggy is with them and causes a ruckus in the cafe. There's other people there and steals their cake. So then the guys, they spit out their tea before they can drink it and go chase after him. Zenyatta and Mondatta are confused because Thoth's predictions are never wrong, but Mondatta says that it was technically true. They just didn't have the whole picture. They consult the book again and are shown that they will receive money by beating up a guy with a face that they hate, and that the Joestar group are going to visit their friends at the hospital. They are also shown that on the way there, Jotaro will get blown up by a bomb hidden in an orange. Zenyatta goes to hack the bomb in the Joestar group's car, but is spotted by Joseph and Polnareff. Zenyatta shapeshifts into Jotaro so as not to get caught. Polnareff and Joseph are confused because the real Jotaro said he was going straight to the hospital, and also because Zenyatta isn't wearing Jotaro's school uniform. He's just wearing his t-shirt and vest, and he even was able to shapeshift his hair into Jotaro's hat. So Zenyatta is just well, I came back to the car because I forgot to fill it. And also, the uniform is of the cleaners. I know that's not how Jotaro sounds. Zenyatta realizes that if he goes with them disguised as Jotaro, he'll end up getting blown up instead. So he tries to leave, but Polnareff ushers him into the car. Zenyatta decides he needs to get rid of the orange by throwing it out of the window. But Iki shows up, and he's chasing after the car with the orange in his mouth, and Polnareff lets him in. So, of course, then Zenyatta's freaking out because the mom's back in the car. Polnareff is very easily distracted and asks Zenyatta to do a trick that Jotaro had shown him earlier, which involves swallowing a lit cigarette without getting burned. Zenyatta panics, but ultimately doesn't want to blow his cover, so he does it successfully because he also knows how to do the trick. Then Polnareff's now do it with 5 cigarettes. Now do it with 5 cigarettes while drinking juice and not letting the cigarettes go out. Zenyatta hurts himself the second time, or rather the third time, and Polnareff and Joseph say he's acting strange, but Zenyatta says he's just feeling under the weather. He wants to escape by pretending to be sick and asking to be let out of the car. Polnareff then notices that he sits with his hands clasped a certain way, and Zenyatta panics, thinking that Jotaro must have a weird quirk with his hands. Polnareff says the way he has his left thumb on top means he was a woman in the past life, and Polnareff always puts his right thumb on top, so it must mean he was a man in the past life. And then Polnareff and Joseph argue about what that even has to do with reincarnation, because Joseph also has his left thumb on top, and I guess that annoys him. Zenyatta really does have a stomachache at this point, and wants out. Polnareff then challenges Zenyatta to an orange-eating contest, which Zenyatta tries to get out of by pointing out that the orange, which is also a bomb, could have been found by Iki anywhere. Polnareff says he doesn't care because it's not bruised or dirty. To avoid being blown up, Zenyatta books it out of the car and goes behind a rock to relieve himself / transform back into his normal self. Polnareff then decides that Zenyatta was right and tosses the orange out the window, which Zenyatta then steps on and is caught in the blast. Mondatta has been following him around, and so he finds him after he's gotten blown up and vows to use his stand to get revenge for Zenyatta, though his older brother tries to dissuade him because the Joestar group is too powerful. It is then that the guy that they mugged earlier finds them, but this time he's not alone. Jotaro finally meets up with the others at the hospital, and Polnareff and Joseph are wow, that was quick. You pooped and had time to pick up dry cleaning? Jotaro, of course, has no idea what they're talking about. It is then that an ambulance carrying Zenyatta and Mondatta in the back pulls up. They got their asses handed to them by the dude they beat up and some much larger guys he brought with him. Polnareff and Joseph think that they look familiar, but can't put their finger on where from. And yeah, that's basically where the episode ends.
They kind of changed the end credits. Had like a different song and animation, like it was from the Boys comic.
Yeah, that one is nice and silly. I mean, this is a pretty silly episode in general. I think I had said when we watched it to take notes that it kind of seemed Looney Tunes-esque in the plot.
I guess so. Like, the boys' stands were useful, but they weren't really, like, killing stands.
Right, yeah. I feel like, they could actually use them for, like, all sorts of things. And there's a lot of stands they've encountered that are pretty much only good for killing.
And, I mean, especially the little one, like, I don't know. I'm kind of questioning Dio using these guys. And I would think with them having those, like, type of stands and that they could be useful elsewhere, that maybe he would have saved them for other things. Like, being able to see into the future would be useful.
Yeah, like, maybe he just, like, keep them at his hideout and be like, what is your bulk predicted today?
And even having, like, Zenyatta would be able to sneak into places. But, I mean, they just weren't super smart about it, or they were just young or whatever. Really, the Joestar group wasn't, like, that powerful in this instance.
Yeah, a lot of the times they just genuinely, like, use their wit and skill to get out of shit. This time it was just by pure goofiness.
The two brothers just kind of, like, messed themselves up.
Yeah.
Or the older brother, mostly. And I don't know, like, putting the explosive in an orange. I didn't quite get that. I'm not sure if that would really work, or, like, be that powerful, or especially putting it in, like, a bag of other oranges, and, like, knowing if you even have the right one.
Yeah. It does show, like, at least some ingenuity that they were able to make a bomb with an orange. But, yeah, it's not, like, the most practical idea or anything.
And Ziggy might have bit into it too hard and made it explode. Like, the Zenyatta was, like, mostly in that back of that. I guess they were just in their vehicle. It wasn't, I don't know what I was trying to think of taxi, but he was in the back of the car just freaking out the whole time because he looked like Jotaro. And in the comic, it was showing Jotaro get blown up. And so he's like, as long as I look like Jotaro with the bomb, that I'm going to be the one that blows up. So he was just, like, super nervous the whole time.
Yeah.
And then stupid Polnareff just, like, turn the radio on or something, dude. Like,
quit, like, trying to make everyone else in the car entertain you.
Like, leave Jotaro / Zenyatta alone.
Yeah. I know, like, in combat, Polnareff is very competent, but, like, otherwise, not really. So he managed to just get outwitted by Polnareff, just trying to do stupid, normal Polnareff things.
I was like, do that trick you did. I could see the real Jotaro being like, no.
He would probably tell him to piss off.
I'm not sure if that group should have beat up the little kid.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how old the Zenyatta is supposed to be, but he might even just be like a teenager.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has, like, a canon age or anything. I just kind of also assumed that he was just, like, a teen.
Could have just brought the cops in or get their parents involved. Of course, they might not be, they're probably not even in their own country, possibly.
Yeah.
But the whole thing just seemed bumbling. I mean, maybe, like, they could have been given some direction or something by someone older, but...
Yeah.
Or used their talents from afar. Like, the kid could have been like, oh, the book's showing now, they're gonna go into a tea restaurant or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just, like, a bad use of them, but
yeah,
if they can't really kill with their abilities, like, have they even killed before?
Yeah.
Why do they want to help Dio? Did they even mention Dio? I can't remember.
I feel like they did at the beginning, but then they're just kind of like, this will prove we're the best brothers ever.
Some of them just go on and on about Dio. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I guess it's one of those things where I'm just like, I just don't get it, and you're not really giving me any reason to get it.
Yeah. I'm just like, he's just a blonde man.
It seems like a selfish psychopath.
Yeah, he is the absolute best.
And these guys are I mean, I get all the stand users haven't been killed, but they're just getting picked off one by one. I don't know why you would wanna, you're like person number, I know some of these have been part 2 or whatever, but person number 27 or whatever at this point, and like,
Yeah.
what makes you think you're going to be able to do anything?
Yeah.
Which I get they're kids, so I don't know.
Yeah, he probably didn't even have to, like, promise them as much money as some of those dudes who are, like, hardened mercenaries and shit. He's like, I'll give you $10 million. I do have some trivia for the episode.
Okay.
I did already kind of go over what the gods, so their stands are and they represent, so I'm probably not going to do that some more. In the manga, they were originally called Oingo and Boingo, and they were the Oingo Boingo brothers.
Yes.
Of course, after the band that Danny Elfman was in before he became, like, a composer and stuff. Which, yeah. I'm a very big Oingo fan, so that was fun. But the names that they changed them to English version are still a musical reference. I guess there's an album by the Police called Zenyatta Mondatta.
Oh.
I was like, I remembered that it was the name of an album, but I couldn't remember what group it was until I looked it up. I guess maybe they didn't care as much as Danny Elfman. I don't know. It's like, sure, you could use our album name.
It might be different using the band name versus an album name. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure totally how that all works with copyright.
Is that it?
I guess the other thing is that the art in Mondatta's comic stand is actually, like, based on how, like, Egyptian comics looked at the time, like the type of art style they would use.
They, like, really didn't look like them at all.
No, especially not the brothers. And the other ones, at least, I could still be like, let's powder up, but...
Yeah.
And then it's like the guy they beat up in the picture, he had green hair, but then when they actually saw him in real life, his hair was just black.
Yeah, just like their features and stuff didn't look like that. Okay, so the next episode is episode 28, Anubis Part 1. I mean, I hope my notes are okay, because, like, half the time I'm just like, what the hell is happening?
That's fair.
Abdul has recovered, and Kakyoin will make a full recovery and catch up with them in a few days. Dio is 800 kilometers away in Cairo. They examine their hospital bill. I didn't get down the amount. They were just, like, freaking out or whatever.
Yeah.
One of them was. When they notice Iggy surrounded by 4 adoring women. Polnareff goes over to mansplain, so Iggy jumps on his face and farts. 4 men and a cow find a fancy sword out in the desert. They try to pull it out of the scabbard, but 3 of them can't, and one's hands are cut somehow. The youngest, Chaka, whom the group talks down to and thinks is lazy, is able to pull it out. He says he can hear the sword, and they find the sword beautiful. The other 3 men are greedy and think they can get a lot of money for the sword. Chaka's dad tried to take the sword and is stabbed through the chest. The sword then slices through one of the other men's head. The 3rd man says it is cursed when the sword speaks to Chaka and says it is the stand of the god Anubis, ruler of the underworld. Anubis makes Chaka master of the sword. Chaka says his father and the other men should be proud he killed them. He cuts the 3rd man in half, and though there is the cow between them, the cow is unharmed. Anubis bids him to kill the Joestar group. Is the sword the stand?
Yes.
The Joestar group gets off a boat and Polnareff whines about being hungry, so Gramps offers him some of Iggy's gum, which doesn't go over well. They look for a bathroom while Polnareff is shown a papyrus drawing for sale, which he rips in half, saying it is fake. But Iggy grabs the gum and runs off. Polnareff is off alone once again. He walks among some crumbling pillars and is soon followed by Chaka. Polnareff clocks him as a stand user and says these stand user attackers are surprisingly direct. Because most of them, hide their stand, I guess.
Yeah.
Chaka introduces himself and tells Polnareff to surrender his life to him. Chaka brings out his sword and Polnareff brings out Silver Chariot. Polnareff is confused why he would fight with the sword and not the stand. Chaka begins slashing like an amateur, and Polnareff is confused and tries to back away. But his chest is slashed, even though his shirt is not cut at all, and the sword has passed through a pillar to get to him. So it's like it can cut through things without cutting the thing it's going through.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explain to the audience. It's because it's sort of hard to explain. He sends Chariot out, but Chariot slashes like crazy and at nothing and can't be far from Polnareff. So, Silver Chariot can't go around, kind of by itself and, fight someone. It has to be close to Polnareff. Chaka zips around the pillars like a mini tornado and disappears. Polnareff jumps up on one of the pillars and baits Chaka to show himself. Chaka gets on a taller pillar and tips it, threatening to crush Polnareff when Silver Chariot launches just the blade of his sword and gets Chaka in the neck. Polnareff says he can only use that move once as a last resort. Chaka is moving a little when Polnareff notices Chaka's sword back in its scabbard. Polnareff pulls it out and is entranced by its beauty when the rest of the group shows up and Polnareff feigns confusion. But Iggy keeps growling at him. They question him about the sword, and he says there was another stand user, and he defeated him, but some rats tried to run off with the sword. But now Polnareff can't get the sword out of the scabbard. Gramps tells him to not run off alone when they rush off because their boat is about to leave. They are headed to Edfa. Polnareff brought the sword to give to the police, and Abdul says it's probably valuable. Iggy growls and barks at it, but they tell him he has to be quiet in their room. So I think they made it to their destination, right? I guess they don't show the boat ride.
Yeah.
That was kind of confusing to me in the episode. I'm like, are they on the boat?
Yeah, they did kind of jump around a bit.
Polnareff decides to go to the police now because of the way Iggy's acting, and Gramps tells JoJo to tag along because, once again, Polnareff shouldn't be wandering off. But Polnareff stops at a barbershop first for a shave. But when it's time to get under the chin, the barber has grabbed the sword and said he is the Anubis stand. It's like Polnareff kind of wanted his... I think he trimmed his hair too, but he wanted his face shaved because it was dirty.
Yeah, the hot towel treatment and
you could just take a shower in your room or whatever.
Yeah, I think that he's doing all that, and JoJo is just flipping through a magazine or something. He's just can we just take the sword to the cops already?
Yeah.
Of course, as usual, this was caused by Polnareff wandering off by himself.
Yeah, and
I did think it was silly that Polnareff didn't consider that the sword might be the stand, because, Whole Horse has his gun stand. I've found that before.
Yeah.
So, why wouldn't he think, maybe there could be other stands under weapons?
Polnareff was chasing Iggy, I think, here, so...
Yeah.
It wasn't... they look for a bathroom, I think, and then that papyrus guy sort of, distracts Polnareff.
Yeah.
And then Iggy runs off, so it's it wasn't him just kind of being ding-dong.
Yeah.
Stubborn and stuff this time.
Yes, in this one instance.
But yeah. Don't go off by yourself. Well, maybe you guys should, stick... He's the one that keeps doing it. So, stay together.
Yeah.
If you're going to the bathroom, make sure the whole group is going to the bathroom.
I'm like, have you guys never heard of the buddy system?
Maybe Iggy needs to be on a leash.
Maybe they need to have walkie-talkies.
A little bit of a dick.
Yeah. They're like, Iggy will find Polnareff for us because he wants to go fart in Polnareff's face again.
Yeah. That time it was slightly funny with like the nurses and stuff because Polnareff's always like trying to, I don't know,
flirt with everyone.
Show off with the women or whatever.
Yeah.
And the women thought it was hysterical that Iggy farted in his face.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh, what a cute doggy. Thank you for getting rid of the annoying French man.
I'm not sure why they never bring, he's like worried about the previous episode drinking where someone could poison them. Like, they need to quit relying on these restaurants and stuff to make them food.
Yeah.
I think, like, they could, I don't know, the Speedwagon Foundation could just, like, fly over and, like, drop them food or something. Like, there's no planning. They don't carry, like, a cooler with them, or they could have canned food or, like, some of those military pouches of food. They could be doing something. They're not relying on these restaurants. And
yeah.
How many times has it been that they've been attacked at one of these little small, like, food trucks or whatever?
They're always getting attacked when they're trying to have a meal. That's even how they met Polnareff.
Yeah. It's like Gramps kind of being paranoid about that. Like, it sort of made sense, but then they just keep, one of them always wanders off, and they keep eating food from these sketchy places.
Yeah.
Or even trusting a barber to shave your face. In Egypt?
Yeah, like when they're so near Dio's, like, hideout. Like, I'm like, Polnareff, you have this sword, Sam, cut your own hair. Shave your own face. I also feel like maybe, like, we could set up, like, safe houses, like, at, like, the end of each leg of their destination, and maybe the Speedwagon Foundation could leave them, like, a little care package of, like, sealed food and drinks.
Yeah, even just, like, the transportation, like, the Speedwagon Foundation could be setting up, or, like, they could just get, like, an RV, and so they can spend the night in it once they pull over. They can use the bathroom in it. You can have a little refrigerator. You can cook meals in it. Maybe not let Polnareff drive it.
God, no. I don't trust Polnareff to do shit except for fight.
I know they've had, like, stuff with some of the stands will turn into a vehicle or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the Speedwagon Foundation could be doing more for the group. Set them up with a goddamn submarine. That wasn't practical. I guess the stand is the sword, but the stand user, I don't know, I feel like I said sword and Chaka like a million times. Yeah. I didn't really learn a whole lot about him, and then he just got turned by the sword, so he wasn't really like someone Dio had kind of like hyped up in his cult or anything.
He basically got possessed.
So they're kind of getting down to these stand users are kind of shitty. Like, sorry, but
yeah,
these are not, like, this doesn't seem like the best and brightest. But I mean, yeah, like the group Chaka was with, they were mean to him, but that's all we really know.
Yeah.
One of the guys was his dad. I don't know. For once, they didn't kill the animal. Left the cow in one piece.
That's because it wasn't a dog.
Okay. Iggy's gonna be a sticky end. I think I've said that a couple different times, and you are, like, silent. So I think I might be correct. Iggy's kind of a turd, but doesn't really know what's going on. He shouldn't die. Polnareff better die too, then.
I think, like, Iraqi has said, like, who his favorite character is, but I'm like, is Polnareff his least favorite? Because he's always putting him in situations.
Well, I swear Iggy was brought in just to irritate Polnareff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't really have anything else to say about this because, again, like this stand user, we didn't even really learn much, and he's just kind of like a rando.
Yeah.
First, it says part 2.
Yes.
So it's like it's the barber has it, but I mean, Polnareff could easily have been taken over and like tried to take the group out, or Jotaro or something. So we will see what happens with this sword. Because I'm pretty sure the barber is not just gonna like be great at it. Because Chaka wasn't good with the sword. He didn't really know how to use it.
This is another one where I feel like the god the stand is named after Ghost of the Stand, because Anubis is like the god of like the underworld and funerals and stuff, and then we got a sword, so an instrument of death. I'm like, alright, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Chaka and the barber, neither of their names were changed for the localization, but they do go together.
Okay.
Because we have Chaka and Khan.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah. I didn't actually know that the barber had a name until I was looking at the wiki for that episode. Like, make sure I spelled everything correctly. And then they're like, the barber's name is Khan.
But he's just a rando too, so.
Yeah.
I know. So, like, is there a god, Egyptian god of water?
Yes.
Okay, so that doesn't make sense. Why they didn't just use that.
Or maybe she's just like a river goddess. Her name's like Nephthys. She's like Set's wife.
No, what I meant made more sense. Maybe they think they shouldn't make a male stand user and have the thing be a girl.
I mean, even like the tarot card, some of that, like, the card would have like a lady on it, but then they give the stand to a guy. Like, the star usually has a woman on it. Strength is like a lady with a lion.
Okay.
So, which is something, I guess. But also, I don't know. This is like in the 80s or in the 90s. I don't know how strong Iraqi's misogyny was at the time.
I don't know.
So, I think we're gonna end our discussion here. The next 2 episodes we are going to discuss are Anubis Part 2 and Bast's Mariah Part 1. You might want to watch those before you listen to the next episode of this, so we don't spoil everything. Because, as usual, we will talk about it pretty in depth. If you haven't already, though, it would be super cool if you could hit the follow/subscribe buttons and leave us a comment or review, depending on where you're listening to this. If you leave us a review, we might even read it on the pod.
Smash all the buttons for us, and don't forget to check out What We Pod in the Shadows.
Yeah. So until next time, I'll be the roundabout. Goodbye.
Goodbye.